The day I discovered my boyfriend was cheating on me with my business partner was the same day our company's bank account was emptied. When Alex told me Marcus and I are starting fresh together, there wasn't a hint of remorse in his eyes. I just chuckled because the documents I was about to hand over to my lawyer the following week would turn their lives upside down. My name is Daniel Carter, 34 years old, and I owned a digital marketing agency in downtown Seattle. Well, I used to own it. Until my boyfriend Alex Thompson and business partner Marcus Rivera decided to erase me from my own life. It all started that Friday evening. I was working late at the office, preparing a presentation for a new client. We needed to complete a critical project for TechFlow Dynamics, and I was reviewing the details. Hours had passed. Most employees had gone home. Only the cleaning staff were in the building, and of course, me. I was about to leave when I heard Alex's voice. The sound was coming from our conference room. At first, they were speaking in low voices, but gradually their tones began to rise. Initially, I thought it was a normal business conversation. Maybe they were discussing recent projects. But what I overheard was something entirely different. "Daniel can't be part of this business anymore, Marcus. You know that too," Alex was saying. There was a harshness in his voice I'd never heard before, as if he was talking about someone he didn't even know. My heart started racing, but my curiosity was stronger. I kept moving closer, trying to make my steps as silent as possible. "You're right, Alex. I've been waiting for this moment for 5 years," Marcus replied. There was excitement in his voice, as if he was finally executing something he'd been planning for a long time. Both in business and other matters. Those other matters created a knot in my stomach. What did he mean? I moved closer to the door, holding my breath and continuing to listen. The corridor was silent. I could only hear the sound of my heartbeat. "We've been patient for so long," Alex said. There was relief in his voice, as if he was finally getting rid of a burden he'd been carrying. "We used Daniel's creative ideas, benefited from his client connections, but we don't need him anymore. You handle the operational side perfectly. I manage client relations. The two of us are enough." I heard Marcus laugh, a cold, calculated laugh. "And Daniel suspects nothing. He still thinks we're the most trustworthy people. Last week he told me, 'You're my closest friend, Marcus. I trust you.' If only you could have seen the expression on his face at that moment. So sincere, so naive. My legs began to tremble. Was this conversation real or a nightmare? Had the man I'd been with for 8 years and my 5-year business partner been talking about me like this? As if they were discussing a stranger, there was no empathy, no respect in their voices. "You know, Alex, it was hard for you at the beginning," Marcus said. "Living with Daniel, playing the boyfriend role with him. But you were patient, and finally we're here." "It was hard, of course," Alex admitted. "Especially at nights. When he held me, when he talked about our future, I was cursing inside. But you were right, Marcus. Patience was necessary. Now everything is ours." I felt like the world was slipping from under my feet. So it wasn't just recent. It had been a planned game from the beginning. Throughout my 8-year relationship, Alex had never loved me, just used me. "We'll tell him on Monday," Alex said with determination. "I'm leaving him, and you're taking over the partnership alone. You've already taken the money from the accounts, right? Everything is going as planned." "Of course I took it," Marcus replied proudly. $350,000 is waiting in a secure account. Daniel has no idea, of course. The poor guy never even checks the bank accounts. He never deals with financial matters, always says, "I focus on the creative side, you handle the operational part." His imitation of my voice broke my heart. It was true. I always focused on creative work, leaving financial matters to them. I trusted them. "What about Jennifer Walsh and TechFlow?" Marcus asked. "Daniel's university friend. Their contract is big money." Alex laughed. "I handled that too. I talked to Jennifer last week, without Daniel knowing, of course. I told her Daniel has been very stressed lately, that his work quality has declined. I implied there might be company changes. Jennifer now looks at Daniel differently. That's when I was completely destroyed. Not only were they going to ruin me emotionally and financially, but professionally too. They were stealing the relationships, trust, and reputation I'd built over years. But worse was coming. I moved even closer to the door, and what I saw destroyed both my 8-year relationship and 5-year partnership in an instant. Alex was in Marcus's arms, and they were kissing passionately. There was such passion between them that he had never kissed me with the same intensity he was kissing Marcus. "How long have you felt this way?" Alex whispered in Marcus's ear. "Since the day we first met," Marcus said. "But you were with Daniel. I just waited patiently, looked for an opportunity. Every night imagining you in his arms drove me crazy. And finally that opportunity came." "I never actually loved Daniel," Alex said, resting his head on Marcus's shoulder. "At first, I just used his creativity and connections. If it weren't for his deal with TechFlow, I would have left him long ago. He's so boring, so romantic, so innocent." That last word finished me. Innocent. So my sincerity, my love, my trust were innocence, naivety to them. "We're free now," Marcus said. "I can stay at your place tomorrow night. We'll give Daniel a few days to pack his things. Then that place becomes our home. Our home. The place we chose together, decorated together, where we dreamed of our future." Alex was going to share that home with Marcus, too. I stood there, unable to breathe. I hadn't just seen betrayal, but complete manipulation, complete deception. My 8-year relationship was a lie from start to finish. My 5-year partnership was a planned robbery. I stepped back, quietly returned to my desk. My hands were shaking so much I could barely pack my laptop bag. My bag contained copies of important documents. I was lucky. I left the office, barely able to stand in the elevator. I was too shaken to drive, but somehow I made it to our apartment in Capitol Hill. Our home. The place Alex and I decorated together, where we planned our future, where we set a wedding date just last month. I sat in the car, looking at the building. The lights in our windows were on. Alex was home, probably waiting for me. How would he act tomorrow? Would he put on that fake smile again, kiss me and ask, "How was your day, honey?" I stayed like that for 20 minutes, my thoughts and emotions in chaos. Anger, disappointment, pain, all mixed together. But mostly I felt shock. How could I have been so blind? Then my phone rang, a bank notification. Large withdrawal from business account, $350,000. That's when something cold and calculating settled in my chest. Not anger, something colder. This wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. And they thought I was too naive to fight back. They thought Daniel was too innocent. But they were wrong. I didn't go upstairs. Instead, I drove to my storage unit across town, the place Alex didn't even know existed. I'd rented this storage 2 years ago for important documents and valuables. Inside was a fireproof safe containing documents that would change everything. When I opened the safe, even I was surprised by its contents. The original partnership agreement, the document Marcus had never read carefully. The agreement that gave me 60% controlling interest in the company, while giving Alex and Marcus only 20% each. Also, copies of our special contract with TechFlow Dynamics, insurance policies, bank guarantee letters. You see, when we founded the agency, I had put up the capital. We started with $50,000 from my grandfather's inheritance. We also got our first major client, TechFlow Dynamics, through my personal university connection. What Marcus and Alex never realized was that our contract with TechFlow contained a special clause that tied their business to me personally, not to the company. I had added this clause at Jennifer's suggestion. "Daniel, you need to protect yourself in these types of agreements," she had said. If your business partners leave you behind, the client should continue with you. How right she was. Also, due to Marcus's suspicious behavior in the last 6 months, I had collected other documents. Bank account movements, records no one knew about, legal documents. I really wasn't innocent. I just trusted while protecting myself. That weekend, I stayed at the Gateway Hotel, downtown, where no one could find me. I was making my plan, thinking through every detail. Monday morning, I watched from across the street as Alex and Marcus arrived at the office together, walking hand in hand. They looked so confident, so sure of their plan. I noticed that Alex never smiled like that when coming to work with me. When he was with me, he was always tense, always thoughtful. But when he came with Marcus, he was completely different, as if he was his real self. At 9 a.m., I walked into the office. Our receptionist, Sarah, was surprised to see me. "Daniel, I didn't know you'd be in the office today. Alex and Marcus are waiting for you." "I know, Sarah, thank you." I entered the conference room. They were waiting for me across the long table, as if it were an interview. Alex had file folders in front of him. Marcus had his laptop open. They were prepared. "Daniel, we need to talk," Alex said, not even trying to look apologetic. His tone was formal, as if he were speaking at a business meeting. "I know," I said calmly. "I heard everything on Friday." Marcus's face immediately turned pale, but Alex just shrugged. He wasn't even surprised. "Then this will be easier," Alex said. "I'm leaving you, Daniel. Marcus and I are together now, and we're taking over the business. It'll be better for you too. Now you can focus on other things." Other things? I was being fired from the job I'd devoted 5 years of my life to, and this was supposed to be good for me? "Interesting," I said, pulling out a folder from my bag. "There's just one small problem with that plan." I placed the original partnership agreement on the table. The document hit them like a bomb. "You might want to read Clause 3.2. Marcus grabbed the document, and as he read, all confidence completely evaporated from his face. This says you own 60% of the company." "Exactly," I confirmed coldly. "It also says that major financial decisions require my written approval, like withdrawing $350,000 from the business account." Alex's arrogance was completely gone. "You can't prove we took anything." I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Their voices filled the room. $350,000 is waiting in a secure account. Daniel has no idea, of course. "How did you get this recording?" Marcus started, but couldn't finish his sentence. "Our conference room has been recording all meetings for legal compliance since last year. You both approve this system, and Marcus, you actually set up this system. Do you remember?" The silence was terrible. Neither of them knew what to say. But I wasn't done yet. "There's more," I continued, pulling out other documents. "Alex, do you remember why TechFlow Dynamics chose us?" His face was getting paler by the minute. Because we were the most suitable agency?" "No," I said, truly smiling for the first time in days. "Because CEO Jennifer Walsh is my university roommate, and our contract with them, worth $2.3 million annually, is tied to my personal involvement. If I leave the company, they leave us too." Marcus was now frantically examining the other documents on the table. "This can't be legal." But it is. And here's the really interesting part. I talked to Jennifer yesterday. She's aware of the situation and is very concerned about the company's stability, especially after the lies you told her, Alex. She'll make her final decision about our contract by the end of the week. Alex's face completely changed. "What did you discuss with Jennifer?" "The truth," I said. "The exact opposite of what you told her. How hard I've been working for the last 6 months, the quality work I've been producing, and that some partners in the company have been plotting against me. This isn't fair, Marcus exploded. We worked at this company too. You're right, I said. And you received salaries in return. I put up the capital. I brought the clients. I established the legal structure. You were just my employees, not partners. Alex finally found his voice. What do you want, Daniel? I leaned back in my chair. First, you will immediately return every penny of that $350,000. Second, Marcus, you will sell me your 20% share for exactly $1 and permanently leave the company. Third, Alex, you will pack your personal belongings and never set foot in this office again. Fourth, you will both tell everyone around you that this separation was mutual and amicable. What if we refuse? Marcus asked, his voice almost becoming a whisper. Then I have many options, I said calmly. I file criminal charges for embezzlement. I terminate the TechFlow contract. I liquidate the company. And of course, I submit all the recordings and documents I've collected over the last 6 months to the appropriate authorities. You'll both be left with nothing but legal bills and criminal records. For an hour, they made phone calls. Marcus with his lawyer, Alex with his brother, with banks. The money was returned to the business account. Marcus signed the share transfer documents. Alex packed his desk. During this time, I was reviewing other documents. The company's financial situation, client contracts, personnel files. Everything would now be under my control alone. As they prepared to leave together, Alex turned to me one last time. There was anger and disappointment in his eyes. You know I never loved you, right? He said. This whole thing was Marcus's idea from the beginning. I just went along with it. I nodded. I know, Alex. Actually, I'd been noticing for months. Why do you think I started recording everything? Why do you think I took legal precautions? He looked at me with shocked eyes. You thought I was naive, I continued. But I just trusted. There's a difference. Trusting means taking risks, but being naive means not protecting yourself. I always protected myself. As he walked toward the door, Marcus turned around. This isn't over, Daniel. You're right, I said. For you, it's just beginning. After they left, I was truly alone in my office for the first time in 5 years. There was silence, but it wasn't a terrible silence. It was a peaceful silence. My phone rang. It was Jennifer from TechFlow. Daniel, I heard Marcus and Alex left. How are you doing? Actually, Jennifer, I'm much better than expected, and I have exciting ideas for your new campaign. I'm glad to hear that. You know, we've been so impressed with your work that we're seriously considering expanding our contract. How does $4 million annually sound? When I hung up the phone, I was truly smiling. The first genuine smile in days. The next week, new employees started work. With Jennifer's recommendation, we found an amazing creative director, Sarah Mitchell. 29 years old, talented, and most importantly, honest. We also hired 2 new account managers and an operations specialist. Within a month, the atmosphere completely changed. There was no more tension in the office, no secret plans, no backstabbing. Everyone knew what they were doing and everyone trusted each other. 3 months later, we rebranded as Carter Digital Solutions. We had a new logo, new vision, new team, and most importantly, new clients. With Jennifer's recommendation, we started a project with TechCorp and were in discussions with Shoe Brand International. 6 months later, I was reviewing our quarterly reports in my newly renovated office. We had grown from 12 employees to 28. Company revenue had increased by 340%. Our client portfolio had doubled. We had achieved all these developments together with Sarah. She wasn't just a talented employee, but also a true business partner. She openly shared her ideas, honestly presented her suggestions, and most importantly, she was trustworthy. That day, my assistant knocked on the door. Daniel, Marcus Rivera is here to see you without an appointment. I looked up from my computer. It was the first time I'd heard his name in 6 months. Send him in. When Marcus entered, I didn't recognize him. He looked tired and defeated. His expensive suit was wrinkled. He had obviously lost weight. There were dark circles under his eyes. "Daniel, I need to talk to you," he said, with none of his old confidence in his voice. I pointed to the chair across from my desk. "Sit down." "Alex left me," he said directly. 2 months after everything happened. Turns out he was just using me to get to the business. When he realized you had outmaneuvered us, he found someone else. This didn't surprise me at all. I knew Alex now. "I've been trying to find work, but word spreads fast in this industry," Marcus continued. "No one wants to hire someone who betrayed their business partner, who stole company money. They're absolutely right, too." "Marcus," I said finally, "why are you here?" He took a deep breath. "I want to apologize. What we did was very wrong. You trusted us, we stabbed you in the back. And I was hoping you might consider giving me a job. I know I don't deserve it, but—" "You're right," I interrupted. "You don't deserve it." He nodded, looking down at his hands. "I know, I'm just desperate. I can't even pay my apartment rent." "However," I continued, "I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I've learned that holding on to anger only hurts the person carrying it, and the best form of revenge isn't destroying someone's life." He looked up, a small glimmer of hope appearing in his eyes. "I'm not offering you a job here," I said, raising my hand before he could speak. "But I am offering you something else. There's a startup downtown called Innovate Solutions. They're looking for an operations manager, small company, but high potential. The owner is David Chen, Jennifer's former colleague. I could put in a word for you." Marcus looked at me in amazement. "Why would you do this? I was so terrible to you." "Because, Marcus, you're not a bad person. You made wrong decisions, ambition blinded you, but fundamentally you're good. We all deserve second chances." His eyes filled with tears. "Daniel, I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just make good use of this opportunity, and never betray anyone again." I picked up my phone and called David Chen. "David, this is Daniel Carter. I have someone I'd like you to meet. He made serious mistakes in the past, but I think he's learned from them. He's really talented when it comes to operations." As Marcus left my office that day with a real chance at redemption, I realized something important. The anger that had driven me to outmaneuver Alex and Marcus was completely gone. In its place was something better: peace and self-confidence. My creative director, Sarah, entered my office. "Daniel, I have amazing news. The negotiations with Shoe Brand went very well. We'll present our proposal tomorrow. Also, there's a celebration dinner with the team tonight for the Tech Corp contract. Will you come?" "Absolutely," I said, smiling. "We deserve this success." As Sarah was leaving, she stopped at the door. "Daniel, you know, the company has come to a completely different place in these 6 months. You're truly an inspiring leader." After Sarah left, I looked out my office window at the Seattle skyline. Sunset was approaching, the sky painted in orange and pink tones. I thought about how much my life had changed compared to 6 months ago. My phone rang. An unknown number. Daniel Carter. "Daniel, this is Jennifer Walsh. I'm calling to give you fantastic news." "I'm listening, Jennifer." "The TechFlow board met, and we've made our decision. Not only will we renew our current contract, but we're also appointing you as the creative partner for all our West Coast operations. This means a $7.5 million annual agreement." I barely managed to keep from dropping the phone. "Jennifer, this is incredible." "You deserve this, Daniel, and to be honest, Alex leaving was good for us too. He was never as visionary as you." After hanging up, I just sat there for a few minutes. $7.5 million. A figure I couldn't have even imagined a year ago. And I had earned it all through honesty, hard work, and right decisions. That evening, I was sitting with my team at the celebration dinner. Sarah, David, our new operations manager, Lisa, our account manager, and other employees. They were all young, talented, and most importantly, loyal people. "A toast," said Sarah, raising her glass. "To Daniel, the man who keeps us together like a family." "To Daniel!" everyone shouted. On my way home, I passed by my old apartment in Capitol Hill. I didn't live there anymore. I had a new place in Belltown with a sea view. But I wanted to look out of curiosity. Alex's car wasn't there. He was probably at someone else's house now. His relationship with Marcus had also ended. He had found someone new for himself. People were just tools for him. He couldn't form real connections. When I arrived at my new home, I sat on the balcony watching the city lights. With a glass of wine in my hand, there was deep peace inside me. My phone rang. It was Marcus. "Daniel, I met with David Chen. I'm starting work on Monday. I don't know how to thank you. Just make good use of this opportunity, Marcus. And remember, once trust is lost, it's very difficult to regain. I won't forget. And Daniel, I'm truly sorry. You're one of the best people I know." 2 months later, I was featured in an article in Seattle Business Journal. Entrepreneur of the Year, Daniel Carter and Revolution in Digital Marketing. The article described how the company had tripled in size within 6 months, how the client portfolio had expanded. Journalists had come to my agency for a photo shoot. Sarah and I gave interviews together. "Mr. Carter, what's the secret to this success?" the journalist asked. "Honesty," I said. "Being honest with yourself and the people around you. And of course, working with the right people." "How did the problems you had with your former partners affect this success?" I paused for a moment. Sometimes the worst experiences in life take you to the strongest places. I learned a lot from that experience. Most importantly, how important it is who you work with. After the article came out, dozens of job offers came in, from big companies, small startups, even international firms. But I was happy where I was. A year later, we were celebrating the company's first anniversary. Carter Digital Solutions was now Seattle's fastest-growing digital marketing agency. We had 45 employees, 3 offices, and more than 50 clients. At the celebration party, Sarah came to me. "Daniel, I have a surprise for you." She had an envelope in her hand. "What's this?" "Open it and see." Inside was a letter from Advertising Age magazine. We had been nominated for the Agency of the Year award. "Sarah, this is incredible. You deserve this. We all deserve this." That night, after the celebrations ended, I stayed alone in the office. I sat in the silence and thought about the past year. Alex's betrayal, Marcus's lies, the stolen money, then the determination, struggle, and finally, victory. I pulled out that old file from my desk drawer. Inside were the recordings of Alex and Marcus, old partnership documents, and all the evidence from those painful days. For a moment I thought about throwing them all away. Then I changed my mind. These documents reminded me that the darkest day of my life was actually the beginning of my brightest future. My phone rang. It was Alex. He was calling for the first time in a year. "Daniel, congratulations. I saw the news in the papers." "Thank you, Alex. I realize I made a mistake. I want to apologize." There was a long silence. "Your apology is accepted, Alex. But this doesn't change the past. I know, I'm just regretful. We all make mistakes, Alex. What matters is learning from them." After hanging up, I went out to the balcony. Seattle's night view stretched out before me. The city sparkled with lights. Tech company skyscrapers rose on the horizon. I thought about second chances. I hadn't given Alex a second chance, but I had given one to Marcus. What was the difference between the two? Was it remorse, sincerity, or just timing? Maybe the difference was this. Marcus had taken responsibility for what he did, while Alex was still trying to justify himself. The next morning, Sarah came to the office early. "Daniel, I have an amazing idea." "I'm listening." "What if we started our own incubator program, mentoring young entrepreneurs, helping them establish their agencies?" I smiled. "That's a wonderful idea, Sarah. Let's begin." And so a new journey began. Not only did I maintain my own success, but I also started giving others the same opportunity. Sometimes the biggest betrayal in your life can be the path that leads to your greatest success. All you have to do is get up from where you fell and keep walking in the right direction. And that's exactly what I had done.